Welcome. I'm Adam Peter, Technical Marketing Manager for the Autodesk Tandem team, and I'm here today with Frank Phillips, Director of Business Affairs Technical Services at the University of Florida. Frank, thank you for joining us today. Maybe tell us a little bit about your role at the university.
Sure. Technical Services was set up to service all of the operational units of the university. Some of those include our construction planning and design group, our facility services team, university police, parking, and many other operational units. And we also have an operational unit within our division, which is our space and GIS team, where we support the university at a holistic level, in addition to IT services that we provide. Going back to year 2000 is when I moved from a pure IT role into the campus planning group. Back then, everything was done through spreadsheets and emails and primarily paper. And over the years, we've gone through the use of a SharePoint site for project documentation into moving towards tools like ACC and other things.
Who are the vested stakeholders in that? Is it maintenance folks? Or are there others?
In a university environment like ours, facilities obviously is key. Our administration is interested as well because it's part of our budgeting model. So how much space you have of what type of space is very key to how our budget system works at the university. STARS is our space tracking and reporting system that we develop internally. We also license it to, I think, about 4 or 5 other state of Florida institutions, universities.
Okay.
And it is the system where we track all of our sites, buildings, rooms, department associations, everything related to space. And we are also using that information with the space allocation system I mentioned a moment ago to drive data into Tandem for space analysis.
What's sort of the differentiator for you between just having a 3D model and what a digital twin might look like?
I think a lot of it comes down to the accessibility of it. You know, the models, they sit on the shelf until we need to work with them. But the digital twin really comes in and bringing some life to that model. Whether that be through driving data, analytics, various ways that we can now slice and dice it that you couldn't necessarily do in a model. You know, we for years through our STARS system have been deploying floor plans in a 2D environment from our Revit models for our campus community to see. But even there, they're flat and static. You can't really look at, groupings of things across a building. You can look at them flat in 2D, color code, etc. So it's really bringing the data to life in a way that you can cross-reference anything you want to. We picked a handful of buildings, one of them being our main administration building on campus, and just started piloting the different things that we could bring in and analyze and look at. Some of the stuff that we have to do is, not only do we need to go back and validate our models, we need to go back and validate in these buildings all of our serialized assets and what is and isn't properly identified in our BAS systems. So it's much more than just where you at with your model.
Yeah, that's been kind of a common theme, actually, from customers that I've talked to, is the data coming in sometimes as you try to organize all of that into a digital twin. It sort of exposes maybe some discrepancies along the way of different disciplines using different ways that they label or identify things. And so it's been sort of a side benefit.
Using Tandem Connect, we were able to put some connectors in place that read data out of our space system and push it into a Tandem model. And some of the things that we actually worked on is using things like the rule engine, so we only have one Tandem connector that is populating multiple models. So bringing that data in, we picked up on the key fields of obviously departmental occupancies, these metrics like the dollars per square foot research productivity, classroom utilization percentages, and the things that are key to our users and community that they want to easily be able to get their hands on. And the nice thing about it is that it's, really gives you different ways to look at it. Being able to filter things down and group them into clusters and then immediately flip them back onto the full filtered model where you can see adjacencies. Those are things that we couldn't do in a flat 2D environment. And one of the things that our partners in our College of Design, Construction, and Planning are working on is bringing AI intelligence into it and taking the metering data that we're bringing in, comparing it to weather data, and forecasting our energy usage.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting that you can start to maybe correlate data that was difficult to do previously, like based on weather, based on occupancy, being able to have real data about those real life events and sort of use that to forecast how you might, respond to that in the future.
Absolutely. And that is one of the interesting points that we've seen. Some of these buildings that we're working on are not at a point that they have good occupancy sensors yet. But in this effort to do the AI analysis, one of the interesting things was it's pretty clear the dip in the middle of summer.
Sure.
And classes are less and 9-month faculty are not on campus. And just, seeing that and taking that into consideration for how this forecast model works across our colleges, we have facility coordinators who are very interested in what's going on in their facility, but don't have access to the underlying systems today because they're not facility services. They're the coordinator for facility activities. Being able to get some of this data into their hands in a way that, one, is accessible, and two, does not compromise or put loads on our back end systems, I definitely see as a good avenue for this type of technology. Anyone at a dean, director, etc. level that wants to know what's going on within their space, come back to Tandem Connect. We've also driven connections in from our CMS system to put links in and data in about work order information so that we bring in the asset data from our CMS. We have links in there to open up the asset profile, the work history. We're bringing in costing information from a summary level so that we can see that on a daily time basis. The benefit is this is really a collector of information that lets us take desperate topics, bring them in, focus them to the right audience, and even potentially cross-reference them to each other.
Yeah, it really makes that information accessible to a pretty broad group of end users who may otherwise maybe find it difficult to get that information, or they get bottlenecked because they have to find so-and-so who might have that information somewhere else. So you're really empowering people to be able to find that information and to find it quickly.
We're working on our facilities data plan as part of that to ensure that we're getting a common set of data from all construction projects, whether that be a new construction or a renovation project, and then make sure that our contracts are in alignment with all of these things so that we can support this moving forward.
Yeah.
Once all of that is done and using other tools in the Autodesk suite like ACC, identifying the inputs, make sure that we're tracking these things in a validated, consistent, common way. Then even the renovation projects can bring more intelligence into these older buildings over time. So initially, it's trying to identify the baseline that we can build upon. And once we get past that 3 to 5 year window, we'll see where it takes us.
I think that's an important thing for a lot of our folks who are just sort of getting started in the world of digital twins, that they don't necessarily have to have the model full and complete and robust in order to start to see some early wins. And I anticipate certainly places like yours where you're multi-building by a lot and you're looking at it as really a whole campus holistic view.
Small city.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we definitely see that need in the industry among a lot of different disciplines. So it's really great that you guys have gotten a good start on that and leading the way. So appreciate your conversation today.
Thank you for having me.